All right, you are now tuned into the Rotated Views podcast. I am your host, Jimmylee Velez. I'm here with Gabe, Goose, and heck, the entire crew. Let's make a deal. In this episode, the crew covers topics that range from flea markets, garage sales, bargaining, vendors, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Howard Baker and Christopher Marlowe. Guys, if you're new, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to download and subscribe. We drop a new episode every Tuesday morning for your listening pleasure. Kicking things off, gentlemen, thank you for joining me.
What up?
Thank you. What up?
So those of you guys who are listening, if there's any issues with the audio, we apologize. We are doing this via Zoom. But as I always say, that's the reason why we always try to bring at least bare minimum, the quality content. So we'll start things off with the definition of a flea market. A flea market is a type of street market that provides space for vendors to sell previously owned merchandise. This type of market is often seasonal. However, in recent years, there has been a development of, quote, formal and casual markets, which divides a fixed style market with long-term leases and a seasonal style market with short-term leases. Okay, I think I got that from Wikipedia, so shout out to them. I mean, that doesn't fully encapsulate it, but yeah. And then I also just defined a garage sale / yard sale. If you look up yard sale, it says garage sale as a definition. Perfect. So I had to look up garage sale. So sale of miscellaneous household goods often held in the garage or front yard of someone's house. Now, both these definitions are very, superficial. They're just the beginning. It's not perfect, let's just say, but it gives you all the obvious general idea. I mean, if you're anywhere, I guess, in America, and I don't know where else, but I can only speak for America because I've only been to American flea markets. So I know they're all over. If you live in America, you've definitely passed at least a yard sale, right? So we're going to jump right in. So when you guys think of a garage sale or flea market, well, let's start with both. One, when you think of flea market, what do you think of? And when you think of garage sale, what do you think of? So heck, we'll start with you.
A garage sale, I mean, it kind of sounds like the same though, but a garage sale, you can see them like stuff from their house that they brought along that they're trying to get rid of. Maybe they're moving and they need to get rid of their stuff that they can't bring along with them or they no longer want. And to me, when I think of flea market, I think of like someone that just like has like a basement full of like old stuff that they've just been collecting and now it's time to get rid of it for some sorts. Like, I mean, sometimes people, they collect things for whatever reasons they want, and then next thing you know, they're tired of it, and they just go off to the flea market trying to get the top dollar out of it. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just my thing.
Gabe, what about you?
So, a garage sale. Like, you think like that, like you're walking on somebody's lawn, and they have like tables and stuff set up. But like a flea market, you think of like, you go up there to like, there's like set up booths. Like everybody's a line of booths, and everybody has their own whatever. Like you said, like the stuff that they've been collecting, or they clear out their house, whatever, and they're just they set up a booth to sell out to whoever's coming to this makeshift market that they set up in the middle of whatever. It could be like a designated spot that was been picked, whatever's called.
Cornfield field markets. Yeah, boys.
Yeehaw.
Goose, what about you?
Yeah, no, like a garage sale is what it is, a garage sale. So anything that's in your garage, your basement, your whatever, and they pull out their front lawn, you drive by, whatever. But a flea market, sometimes it's like, that's some people's like income. They have like it's like they collect like they're specific niches and they collect like whatever it could be. Like back in the day, me and Jim were talking about baseball cards. You go to a flea market, you find a guy that just sells nothing but baseball cards, and that's his income. That's his, he's there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and that's that. It could be, or it could be just like you're trying to clean out your basement, but you're going to this like the town market fair. It's like it's like the ones we go to. They're farmlands. They're old farmlands. And they make little whatever parking lot. And you got everyone little wooden boot like tables, kind of make them booths. Then they also have an indoor one, which is like same thing. It's an indoor marketplace. And it could be anything. It could be where you start your like entrepreneurship on sales, like Jim always talks about. Like it's a place where you're bargaining. You're bartering making a deal. You're trying to like a flea market is anything goes.
Yeah, I mean, you can find new stuff. Sometimes you go to the
Yes.
flea markets and they have stuff that are brand new still in packages. And then
Yeah.
there's some people that bring they sell stuff from you always feel like you're at a bodega where they have like a lineup of stuff there. You know what I mean? Like the one guys, they sell the shampoos and people go there because they know they're going to get a better deal than to say, or the other stores to buy it or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And to add on to that, just two things that just popped in my mind. There's folks who already have a brick and mortar business. They're just going for the weekend, expanding their audience basically. So if I have a brick and mortar, let's just say, I don't know, bakery, whatever, because there's a guy that literally, does this, or whatever the business is. But I'm like 20 miles away or 15 miles away from there, but they know every Saturday and Sunday on the weekends, I'm at this particular location. Now that's how far I expanded my customer base, right?
Yeah.
And the second part of that is it doesn't necessarily have to be a brick and mortar business. It could be that I own an online business that I just sell X, Y, and Z product. Let's just say I have an online baseball store or sport equipment store. And for the weekends, if you don't want to pay for shipping costs, meet me at this X, Y, and Z flea market, and this is where I sell. It's all brand new stuff. But, that's more me pleasing, customer satisfaction, and same thing with customer base, extending my customer base.
So it becomes like a pop-up shop.
Yes, essentially. But they're there every weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, they call it like a flea market / farmer's market, because you can also get food, like the crops from like your local farmland. They're selling all their stuff there.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, to add on with Goose was saying, the indoor versus the outdoor, it's a good option. I mean, the flea market, the particular flea market that we go to is, Goose mentioned there's an interior, then there's like a covered exterior, and then there's just a straight up exterior exposed, meaning there's a portion that has roofing, almost like a gazebo or something. Yeah, like it's this huge, massive, and it goes, it's pretty dang big, probably like a quarter mile worth of this stuff. And then but it's kind of what the definition said, those are leased spots. So these people pay, it's almost like a monthly membership, let's just say. So you get,
for that,
every month you pay them whatever, $300 for that space. So basically you're leasing a space from them that's covered. And then they kind of split it up. Everyone, you kind of know if you're there under the covered section, it's really more of like the newer stuff or food. And then if it's exposed, it's kind of, you're going for either the antiques, or, obviously well-used stuff. And sometimes it's just a mixture. There's people in there really selling, like we say, silver bullion coins. There's a guy who just sells army fatigue. There's a person who just sells literally pots and pans. Then you get the people who just sell clothes, like randomly used clothes, like on like a consignment kind of a thing. You have the people like me and Goose were there yesterday. And you had someone who, they're selling kids' toys. I don't know where they're getting them from. Maybe whatever. But they had them all lined up, and the way they were lined up, it was color coded. It was, it was very interesting to watch. But anyway, I say all that to say, there's a variety. And I know we're missing, aspects of this. Here's another example. In the flea market, there's a army recruiting booth, right? So it's not necessarily just, selling used products as that, it's kind of developed beyond that.
Yeah, no, I just think people are starting to get creative with using those spaces. Like you said, you rent out that little booth and you could do sell whatever you want. I mean, obviously within right stuff, but you can do whatever you want in that booth, sell whatever. Or if it's like we saw the army recruiters, or there's people sell those bathtub inserts. Like they just have a model and that's it. They're trying to sell you so you can buy. Like it is. They don't really have you don't go there to actually purchase certain things sometimes, but they have a stand. They're trying to sell you on something.
Yeah, like I've seen before. You get custom vinyl work done, like the vinyl letterings and stuff like that. I've seen people they bring their machines and I want this to say whatever, and they make it right then and there for you. They could tell you to come back in a half hour and it's made. Yeah, so I mean, I think
it gets cool too because so once you go outside, you're gonna have your regulars, right? And they're in particular areas of the plot. But when you go inside, you're gonna get these folks on a weekly basis. You know exactly where they are. You know exactly where their storefront is, whether rain or shine, right? So that's the benefit.
They'll be there.
And these people, it's almost like if you think of like a mall, like an indoor mall, it's basically the same setup, really, truly. Just the mall puts fancier doors and windows. That's all they do. But essentially, it's the same concept where you're inside, you know, walking around a marketplace. And obviously, just like the malls have food courts, so do the indoor flea markets. They have food courts. I mean, there's a place
outside too.
Yeah. There's a place we used to go to. I don't know if it wasn't I-95 Market. It was, what was it, Pennsauken. There was the
Pennsauken Market. Yeah.
They would sell within the indoor flea market. It's a legit bike shop. So it's like there's also these established, you know, businesses. But we would go there. Well, I would go there for a slice of pizza. I mean, this pizza was second to none. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Every time you would go, there's like our traditional stops. Like you go there, there's pizza place that makes like an amazing breakfast pizza. There's this sausage place that makes like their hot sausage with it. Yeah. And it's like it's a must. You got to go there.
You have to.
You have to ask Jim. I went and bought a sausage, and I had just got done eating a slice of pizza, but I can't pass this place without buying it. So I bought this thing, wrapped it up, and took it to go. And I had it in my bag.
In his book bag.
Well, no, it's that little backpack. Because you go to these places, I always have a backpack. You never know what you're gonna buy. And so carrying things or like having 25 different plastic bags to shove it in your backpack. Well, I ordered a sausage sandwich and threw it in the back of my backpack. Oh man, ate it. Oh, it was so good, so good.
So let's talk about the win-win situation. So I would say, for the most part, you get your, you know, the flea markets and the garage sales. It's a win-win for everybody, right? Just think about just the, you know, the garage sale, and you see a lot of like kids' toys for sale, stuff like that. Their kids outgrow it. They don't want to necessarily throw it away. They want someone else to enjoy it. They make a little bit of money. You're not paying retail for this stuff. You know, kind of know what you're getting. You know what I mean? Yeah. And maybe, you know, and someone else is like, yeah, you know what? I want toys because even with us, one of our things was, sometimes we have almost like a toy chest, but it's outside. But it's a weathered one, so they don't really get demolished. But sometimes the kids, you know, we can't catch every toy. We miss one or two that's out there. So now it's to the point where we have outside toys. And those are some of the things that you would get at a garage sale. Like, let me get, or it's a double of something or whatever. And that's a win-win for me. I'm only paying $1 for it, but I don't care if it does get stuck out in the rain. So you do get those win-win things, but then you always get the occasional, it might not be occasional, you get the regular guy who's trying to sell his used product for retail price, right? We all know how cheap TVs are now, right? Comparatively speaking, I should say, from 5 years ago versus now. The size you can get, the quality picture you can get versus the price. I mean, it's wild. Where I remember seeing this dude had this really old 32-inch screen TV, and he was selling it for like what I can get a 48-inch brand new out of the box that has all the connections. And you're like, I don't know if this guy, but you don't know. You don't know if they just don't know that you can get them for that cheap, or they're really trying to make a buck. I mean,
I mean, sometimes they place the prices up.
Yeah, no, they're probably basing off like, I spent $2,000 for this. It's really only worth $100 now. But he's like, I'm trying to sell for $500. And it's not like it's not. They're just basing on what they made the purchase on.
Yeah, you get the so when you're talking about bargaining, every once in a while, like you'll say if you buy like another product, right? So let's just say, I don't know, I see a guy selling 2 baseball mitts, and I want both of them, or I only want the one. And he goes, you know, whatever, $25. And I see that there's another mitt. I don't necessarily 100% want, but to just let's make a deal kind of thing. Like, well, if I get this one, how much you give me? Or if he says my gloves are $30, and I say, well, if I get 2, how much? Instead of 60, how about 50? Right? And so that's still a win-win considering how much these people paid for their product. Obviously, that guy himself has to make that judgment call, but it works somewhat like that. You can offer all you want too. It doesn't hurt to say, how about 10? How about you're at a flea market? That's that's what we're doing. Unless like we were saying earlier, they're selling those new products and it's all like cellophane and all this other stuff. Then that's pretty much their price. But for like used products or something like that, yeah, I mean, why not throw the number out there? Obviously, if you think you're getting a good deal and whatever, then just all right. If they says $10, here's $10.
But then you also get those people where you tell them, like, let's say that glove was $25, and you get people like, I'll give you $10 for it,
or $5.
And they don't even meet you like halfway or give you the happy medium. Yeah. They're just giving you like this. I'm just trying to rip them off as much as I can. And then the seller,
they're just trying to make a
but
deal.
Then the seller looks at them like, what are you doing? It's already on discount. It's $25. You know the kind of glove you're getting right now? Like $25. I can see if you said 15, maybe work with it, or even 20, but some people just like low ball.
There's also people who like that's their technique. And they're like, whoa, you went so low balling purposely, because then you'll come back up. Instead of saying 15, you'll say 10. Well, at least give me 10, But also there is like a weird thing where there's people taking advantage of people too. Like there is that weird, you're going to get like that. I don't know. It just seems sleazy to me sometimes. Like if a person's number is whacked, or if they're whacked, I'm just going to keep it moving. If a person's price is almost there and I'm like, I don't really want it, that's when I'll really throw it out. Like, listen, in my mind, I'm like, he said 25, but if he'll take 20, it's mine. So you're not really ripping him off. I'm getting a deal still, and it's like, but yeah, like Hex mentioned, there's people who are just all over the map with it. You also have the price tag people, right? They price tag everything. And that's a turn off. That depends on the buyer. That could be a turn off or a turn on. Sometimes, as Goose knows, there's times you kind of guess, like, I'm not sure. And if there was a price tag on it, that might change someone's decision, right? So if something looks like it's $50, but that guy's selling it for 10 and there's no price tag, you kind of leave that juggle, right? But if something was, $10 and it had the price tag on it and you knew that's around about what you want to spend, then that was an easy decision for you to make. Some people are shy and they don't want to ask. They just want to know. So if I know that's $10, I'm not here to wheel and deal. I just want to pay for whatever you want and keep it moving. So it really does depend on the buyer. And if it's a fair price, I think, or reasonable.
Yeah. And sometimes like with the vendor, you can kind of like, if you talk to them within the first 2 to 3 minutes, you can feel if they're going to if they're going to like hook you up or agree with you. Or you can also, like me and Jim were talking, you can tell like that this guy, he was cleaning out his basement garage and it might I don't know, I'm just making this off my head, but he was going through a divorce and had to sell a bunch of stuff and kind of get rid of things and just like, and he was there for a reason. So like you could tell like when you start talking to these vendors and stuff, and like they're normal people anyway. It's not like they're running like a big box store. They're just trying to sell what they have there. So, but it depends. Like Goose says, there's people there really making a business out of something. There's some people, or that's like their actual income, and then you get the people who are just the weekend warriors. They're there just to make a little buck. Maybe it's stuff that they don't want to have memories of, and they know someone else can still use it because it's still fairly good condition, or depends on what it is. Also people are there for all different reasons. Yeah, like the arts and craft guys. Like there's guys making like these old vintage signs. Like they made them and they make it to look old. And we saw the one guy. They live like his shop is up like North Jersey somewhere, and he does everything online. Well, like we've seen him there, and you can buy stuff there. You're not paying shipping. You're not paying, and he does orders. Like so, if he's there every weekend. So if we've seen something that we like, you tell him, and he'll make it bigger, like a bigger size or a smaller size, and he'll bring it back that following week. You just go there and meet up with him. But yeah, those things are cool. Like those are people who are showing their talent. You know, they build stuff. I don't know, like the ladies that make like jewelry out of, like they make the jewelry, like they have like little booths, like those things. Like you see someone put their time and effort, so you could honestly kind of give it the value that like that it should have.
Right. Well, you know that's an actual business, right? I mean, they're really trying to have a side hustle, or if it's their main income, whatever. They're legitimately there to make money, right? They have an actual product, which is very different from the guy who's cleaning out his garage because his kids outgrew the bikes that they had and the power wheels and stuff like that.
Then obviously you got like the bootleggers.
Yeah, the knockoffs guys.
People would go there with like the imitation brands of other stuff, and like those are things you gotta be careful too when you make purchases. Like you're like, oh my god, it's something that costs like $100. You're getting it for $10. Like, yo, I know I'm at like at a farmer's market or a flea market, but dang, you're like it's way. And you look at it, and it's like there's like Jim was saying, t-shirts. They're like Hanes t-shirts we saw them. There was like companies that kind of have a similar look to it, but it wasn't them. Like holy smoke.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good. It's kind of scary. They have like full-fledged branded, I'm not gonna say the brand, but like branded stuff. And you're like, I don't even know if it was real or not, to be honest with you, but you're like you definitely what we're saying is you gotta watch for that stuff.
Sure. You also
whether it was real or not, we have no idea. We're not people who verify that kind of stuff. I just don't buy that stuff there at flea markets or anything.
You buy it and like the sleeve falls off.
Who knows? Yeah, well, then you get the guys. So you get the guys who are. You ever see? There's like shows called Storage Wars and things like that. These guys are literally buying other people's stuff to then sell it, like to flip it. Basically, is what the intention is.
Because it's essentially abandoned goods, whatever.
Yeah, and so they'll come in. What are those trucks called?
Box trucks.
A box truck.
Yeah,
they'll come with a box truck, literally, and it's just a bunch of actual cardboard boxes, and they're just throwing the stuff off the box truck. This whole row's $1. This whole row's $5. Like, just craziness. It's mayhem, and people are all in it. They're all over the place. But then again, then you have the guy who's literally just selling coins and has a coin collection. You have the guy who's literally just selling antiques, and he might not be the guy who's making a sale, every 10 minutes, like the clothes and stuff. I always find that like it's wild how much the clothes go.
Just had the guy that
he makes one sale and he cleared house for the one day. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He just made like $400 just on the one sale. And that's all. And then, like I said, you have people selling like the little things here and there that cost $1. Or, there's guys who sell reused toys, old toys like, Matchbox cars, 2 for $1, 3 for $1, whatever the price is. Bro, I had like all this stuff and I handed the dude $3. You know what I'm saying? It's like it looked like a lot, but that's definitely that. And he was happy. He was happy. And to speak about that, Goose, you can give us the one example we were talking about yesterday. When also, like, if you're a vendor, if you're trying to sell stuff, you want to make it so it's like approachable. Yeah. Right. Some vendors trap everything in, so you can't even get to it. 1, 2, it's a disaster. It looked like something blew up or something. I don't even know. It's just disorganized all over the place. You don't even know what you're just digging through boxes and crates.
Yeah, well, so you have these tables you set up, right? And you display it out, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people that are walking by. So they might be picking something up and just putting it in another location or just throwing it sloppy and someone else. And like the whole table looks like a disaster. It doesn't look organized. So there's certain things that like something was on top of something else that you didn't even know it was underneath. And I was telling Jim, I'm like, dude, that's like a part of like that kind of tells the type of salesman you are. Like, you're organized and stuff like that. Like, that gives you like a personal, like a real quick type, I don't know, like a personal gesture. The type of person you are. Like, dude, things messy. That's how your lifestyle kind of is. Messy, and you don't care, and you're just saying, hey, come and get it. Like, or if you like organized, try to have things organized. That's how like your house is probably organized. Your car is nice and clean and neat, and like that's. So those are the type of people you want to buy stuff from. You don't want to buy stuff. If someone's like, everything's a mess. Like, you probably go home and buy a toy and it's broken. You don't know how these people take care of things, so it's like, I don't know. You can actually see that too.
It's definitely discretionary. Yeah, you definitely don't want to buy everything. You can buy. It just depends on what you're buying. So there can be stuff that can get tossed around and it won't get jacked up. But for the majority of things, if you're disorganized and you're just throwing stuff all over the place, yeah, I mean, unless the guy's saying 10 for $1, you can find something just because of the bargain of the price of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not really and you'll see it. You'll notice it. It's just like. It's like, I can't even describe it, but it's just a bombshell of people. And that it's one of those guys. It's those box truck guys who have boxes lined up and it's more than likely it's closed and it's this row's $2, this row's $3. Or put as much as you can in a bag for $5.
Keep moving. I mean, sometimes you also got to watch out for sometimes people have electronics, like those box truck guys. Dang well, they found like a TV or a radio. They didn't plug it in to bother. And then you're asking them, hey, does this work? And they're like, oh, yeah, just to make that buck. And then you take it home and it's like, it doesn't work. So now you're like, oh, man, I got. Like, if you're going to do it, at least be honest about it. Don't be scummy about it.
It's super cheaply made toys that have literally been there since I was a kid. That little barking dog goes.
The monkey with the
cymbals into a circle or whatever. Like what Heck was saying with the monkey.
Oh, man.
Like they're still selling that stuff, and it's like that's I don't know, just steer clear. I mean,
that's. And
then, like Goose said, I think there's a good majority of people who do it just for the social aspect because we're walking by vendors who really didn't have anything to sell, or I'm not even kidding you. A dude had a piece of a fence leaning up against his table, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe there is someone looking for that. I have no idea. And a handlebar from a bicycle, a handlebar from like an old school Schwinn, a handlebar.
So me taking it as like he had a fence there. I'm like, maybe he has like a bunch of panels at home somewhere, and this is the kind of fence he has. But a handlebar, I'm hoping he has the rest of the bike somewhere though.
So
that's what happened. That bike went through the fence.
This dude had pieces of stuff. Like he just had pieces. Like nothing was a complete of anything. And
he was trying to build someone's puzzle.
Nah, he was there with a big old smile and just talking to the vendors on each side of him. I just honestly think he was there just for the social aspect.
He probably just went to hang out. Yeah.
Seriously. There's something for him to do. He looks forward to it. It's just a camaraderie. And you get to talk about, where were you this week? So a lot of the thing with the vendors is like, I just came from Philly on Thursday. Then we went down to South Jersey on whatever day, Friday. We're here Saturdays and Sundays. And they're all kind of like intermixed in that community. They kind of travel around together. Like I said, they built, some of these people are stationed next to each other for a whole season. So you kind of do build a relationship with them.
Then we got the guy that he had like stuff on a table and he's sitting inside his car and he's yelling out the prices through asking he's like just sitting there just being super lazy. They want to come out and interact with him. He's like, oh yeah, that's $5. He's pointing. He's sitting inside of his car,
eating a sandwich in one hand and a cigarette in another.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I'm like,
the scene of it was thrown off.
We were people watching. We were doing all kinds of stuff too when we were there. It's it's entertaining, man.
The best is when you pick something up and you're just curious to see what it is, and the guy's like, oh, that's $15. I'm like, I didn't ask you the price. I'm just like looking at it real quick.
Yeah, he's just yelling. I mean, you get the guys who are just yelling prices. You got your Jose Canseco. You got your Mark McGuire. You know what I mean? They got.
Then you got some people like you're looking at something you have interest in. You pick it up. They hawk you like you're gonna just walk away with it or something. Yeah. Like, dude, I'm like, put it back gently. I have my hand behind my back. I walk away. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and then you have so two things. You have your there's always the guy who's selling like the most cheaply made, like pocket knives and weapons and like BB guns.
Oh yeah.
Or whatever. You have those or some like random weaponry.
Chinese stars, like the little
it's just it's bizarre. And then you have the hype beast is what I call. They're just there for whatever's in style. whatever's popping. Let's just say, like at one point it was like these fidget things. Another point it was what's that?
No, yeah, the fidget spinners. Yeah.
Yeah, the fidget spinners things, which everything fidgety that comes out, like, you know, they just come out with different versions of them. Yeah. But there's some guys, they're just there for the following year, whatever's like the thing, they're there selling that. Does that make sense? Nothing against the fidgety things. I actually like them. But I'm saying it was an example of saying, you know, they're just there for, you know, one year they're selling that. And, you know, as a hype beast, the following year he's selling the hoverboards because that was the hot item. Yeah. And then the following year he's selling like the Razor style scooters or whatever.
Well, now there's
huge gaps in time there, but
now everyone's with the mask. You have to wear a mask. People selling all kinds. That's all you see everywhere. It's like masks, disposable ones, the custom, the name brand ones, like all kinds of stuff. Like that's like every table.
Yeah. That's basically every table. Yeah. I just like the guy who, like, he's so consistent, right? All this dude and him and his wife, all they sell is socks. And it's like, and I'm kidding you not, these are the same socks, the same style, everything since I was a kid. Fast forward 20 years later, it's like the same couple, the same like socks for sale. You know, they got like the stack of like, instead of golden toe, they have like the hyper, you know, like a super bright yellow or super bright pink and orange, like the girl stack or whatever. You gotta love that guy. It's like this guy legit made his living off selling socks. I mean,
and he's out there with flip-flops, new socks.
Then the food thing. To go back on the food thing, that, you know, that's another thing you want to kind of like look out for. We always go to the established places. You know, every once in a while there's like some person or somehow got approved, but it's in the middle of where there's no other food and you're kind of like questioning, like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah, it's like a random bake sale.
Yeah. That's definitely a good tip right there. Kind of when it comes to food and stuff like that, just be careful. That's all I said. Just be careful. Just use your own discretion with stuff.
How about the people selling the little Debbie's, that like the cupcakes?
Yeah, expired.
They're selling the expired food.
Or expires like tomorrow. You got to eat them all today.
Yeah, you got to eat the whole dozen.
Straight up eating fudge rounds and Star Crunch all today. 2 boxes.
Yo, I did that one time.
Yeah, you're buying it for $1, but still, I mean, it's expired. Who the heck?
I did that
sure too. There's other people who buy stuff and then sell it, like they mark it up. Like there's no, like, for example, like there's clearly, like if you go to the dollar store, there's brands that pop out, and I'm pretty sure that there's people out there that are like buying it at the dollar store for $1 and selling it for $2.
For
like
$2, yeah.
Very recognizable brands too.
You also get those people that buy stuff off of the people that are selling to then resell it.
Right there.
Location. They resell it right then and there. I mean, it happened to me the one time.
Yeah.
I was selling tires. I sold them for one price. Later on down the road, my dad is walking down because I think I just seen your tires for like double what you sold it. And apparently they sold again. So the guy sold them he made money off of it. So the tires went around.
Oh.
It's
That's
crazy.
what they do. They're tires.
Literally, they go around.
Yeah, so to switch gears a little bit, talk about how your approach is to a flea market. Now, this might sound weird to people who don't go to flea markets a lot, but I don't necessarily, not anymore. We used to. It was like multiple days a week, Saturdays and Sundays was a normal thing. But we would start off. First of all, we had an intention. We would go in. We knew there's X, Y, and Z we were looking for. A lot of times we were looking for very old Schwinn parts. So because we were restoring bicycles and wanted to restore them to as close as original product as possible with looking the best and functionality. But you go there and there's a section we know we just weren't going to hit up. There's a section we know we had to hit up. There's a section we got to go first because, as we say, the early bird gets the worm first. Some of these products and some of these things and items that you're going for, you only have one shot in getting it. And if someone else is also there and your competition's out there, he's going to beat you to it. And so I remember me and my dad were vendors, man. We would be unpacking. It would be like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, unpacking the truck, setting up our little workstation there. our booth or whatever, and they'd be like, "Hey, do you have pots and pans? No. Do you have army fatigue? No. Do you have whatever? Bike parts?" They would ask for the most specific things because every once in a while you would hit a jackpot, and that's to me the whole point of the fun in the flea market is like it's a little treasure hunt. Sometimes you go with the intention of, oh, I need a new phone case or something for something so little, right? And then you're like, I'm just gonna go really for the the atmosphere, and then you end up finding a really cool guy who's selling coins, like or collectibles that you couldn't even find for the years. You're like, oh my gosh, here's this guy standing, and then all of a sudden it's like you just felt like you hit the gold mine, right? Or you felt like you hit the jackpot. But yeah, so I enjoy the flea market for that aspect. It's like you never know what you're gonna get. You could, like I said, you could have the intention of finding X, Y, and Z. I think one time I went, literally, I'm not exaggerating, went for like a rake or a shovel, something. If I couldn't find it, it was like a Sunday. If I couldn't find it there, like mine, I was doing yard work on a Saturday, right? I'm going to the flea market on Sunday. So Sunday, if I find one there, a really good brand and a good price, I just replaced my tool. If not, then the next day I'll go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy one. But it's those little things like give it a chance. I'm gonna or that's what takes me there. And like I said, I ended up buying 10 other things that I like. Holy smokes! That I didn't realize I was going there for. My intention wasn't that. But to go back on the approach, so if you have those things in your head, you know exactly where you're going, those types of vendors, where exactly they are in that particular flea market or whatever it is, and what time they arrive. It gets and that's still surface stuff. It gets deeper than that. Some people know, they already have their phone numbers. They know that guy's not showing out. He's calling out sick today. He doesn't have the pots and pans that day, so I'm not even bothering, right? So you have the inside scoop people, but generally speaking, there's an approach. Now, that all kind of diminishes when you bring other people into the equation, right? And so my dad was a very fast-paced walker. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he was in and out of those aisles. I mean, if you didn't keep up, he would just keep going. And then he'll come back, or he'd wait at the end for you to catch up.
Wait at the end.
So, or middle, wherever there's like a trash can. We always had like this weird thing, like I beat me. Go to the middle. If you don't see me for 5 minutes, just go to the end, then wait there until you actually see me. So we would have that approach. But if we went with my mom or we went with the girls, the approach is totally different, just because they wanted to look at things totally different than what we wanted to look for, right? And so your experience is totally different. Me and Goose were having this conversation. I went with my family, and I had a blast, but it was a very different experience, right? What they wanted to look for was way different than the items and stuff that I was interested in, but I'm there with them. So, obviously for entertainment value, I got a kick out of them being there, but the experience is no doubt different.
Yeah. Like when I was younger, yes, I always went, like you said, for the bike stuff and all that. And I didn't really have that much to search for. I was only 15 years old. So I was like really I was into my bike and just buying bike stuff and just like little stuff here and there, mixed CDs and stuff like that. Obviously we're talking about like the 90s. So
car
that's
radio stuff, speaker.
Yeah. So then as I got older, I would the Sony Walkman. So as I got older, I just kind of, every time I would go with the intention of just like keep open mind. You don't know what you're gonna see, and if you don't go to the old and new stuff, you're never gonna know what's there, because that's always a treasure hunt. Like there's stuff in there that you totally forgot that you were looking for, or
just like, didn't expect to see it there.
Yeah, you didn't expect it. You're like, oh dang, I'm gonna scoop this up because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see this next time or whatever. But I mean, like I said, I keep an open mind just to run across whatever it is I think I may need at that point.
Yeah, like like you said, when we were young, I would go there for baseball cards. Dude, I would go to every guy that was selling baseball cards when I was a kid, like buy baseball cards, find like the cheapest one, and then try to buy like the one individual, like Jose Canseco or something, card, and whatever, try to make a deal. Now that when I just went with Jim, we're just wandering around. I bought a 1920 blow dryer.
Yeah.
Yo, this thing has a wooden handle and it's in mint condition, dude. And obviously, like, that's my industry, and I have like clippers like from the 1920s. I have like a whole display thing, and that finished up my like. I never in a million years thought I was going to go to the flea market on Sunday and buy a blow dryer. But dude, it's like, dude, I've seen it. Dude, the price is right. I'm like, I got to. Like, it was just like like an amazing find. So yeah, it's like obviously as you get older or whatever, your intentions are going are different.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, same thing. There was, it's kind of like what Heck was saying. You go there with the intention of something, or even if, like I mentioned earlier, just going there for the social aspect, or just to get out of the house, something to do. You don't really
Exercise.
have anything in particular you want, and then you come across stuff like me and Goose. How many times did we pass on that was like so nostalgic? Like, you know, you saw like Goosebumps books for sale. You're like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? You see something with videos. Yeah, you see like old school video game and there was a Super Nintendo for sale, and like you see that basically at every flea market, but still every time you see it, it's nostalgia. It throws you into a time period.
Yeah, it does.
And like mid-90s were killer with, you know, that stuff. You know, with like jerseys and like whatever else you can get your hands on. But like I said, like I wasn't going there for a catcher's mitt. My eye was open for anything baseball related because my son is, you know, he's in baseball and he's into it. And so anything that's going to help him, like we stopped and looked at a pitching machine. We stopped and looked at baseball bats. We stopped and looked at other gloves. We stopped in Goose. Remember, we saw gloves from the 30s and 20s. And 18 something. It was gloves. And this guy was selling them at obviously antiques, baseball gloves. And then we strolled up against a bargain. I didn't even see it because it was hidden. It was like under or next to something that I just somehow overlooked. But Goose grabs, he's like, "Oh, this is a nice catcher's mitt." I'm looking at it, I'm like, "Dude, that thing looks expensive." I'm like, anyway, let me just ask. It was like the third thing I said, "Man, that looks expensive," and I didn't ask. I'm like, you know what? Because again, it was something I didn't really need, so to speak.
Yeah.
More of like, we're just. So the guy's like, you know, I don't know, $10. I looked at Goose. I'm like, oh, I'm definitely getting this. Beautiful glove, whatever. And then we just start talking to the guy and whatever. And one thing led to another. Our eyes look, you know, while we're talking, we're like looking around at his stuff. I'm like, oh, I didn't realize you had baseball cards. I'm just looking at it. And we're being my brother Miguel, we're talking about baseball cards because it's like it came back. You know, that for an era there. Yeah, look at it. He has all those old school.
Oh, no.
So we bought cards.
Has a chewing gum in the package.
Yeah, with the gum still inside. Yeah.
From 1988, 1990, and 1992 packs.
Yeah.
With like that are it comes with like 10 whole cards.
Right there is classic.
Wow.
Yeah, Don Russ, waxed paper. Dude, there was ones that were giving away season tickets for the 1993 season. You know what I mean? For a team of your choice. These upper deck ones from 1992. It was awesome. But again, so then as we're talking to that guy, I see a card that I think is, you know, it was very recognizable to me, which now I think it's more than likely it's a replica. But that's how that would have never happened if, number one, we didn't inquire about the glove. Ask.
Oh, wow.
Because if I would have made an assumption that's a $50 glove and walked away, none of the other stuff would have happened. Then we developed, I wouldn't say like a relationship, but like a rapport with the guy because he started telling us his story about his daughter playing, you know, really getting into softball and things like that. And that's where, you know, the conversation led us. Then we started talking about baseball cards and, you know, you see a ball that's signed from Nolan Ryan and you get like the David Winfield friggin' super side. I remember all that stuff in that era.
Yeah.
And then we passed by a guy who was selling skateboards that were, you know, those Nash skateboards.
Oh, Nash.
Yo, that was like late 80s, early 90s, whatever that was.
I had a Nash board.
Yeah.
But yo,
and we're like, what?
Yeah, Jim, going back to that guy that had like he bought the catcher's mitt and the glove and he had the baseball cards. Well, his thing was his daughter. He said she's really good at softball. She's really, and he told us what he paid for that glove that Jim bought. And he just bought her another one. He spent like $300. Bought her a new chest protector and gear. It was another $300-400. Bought her a new bat. It was $300. So he's like, dude, I just spent a lot of money. I'm gonna get all her old stuff and then try to replenish some of that money with the old stuff. And that's what he was doing because like she's into the sport, he's trying to support her, but like the equipment and stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
And it's the stuff that she outgrew or doesn't use. That's what he was selling.
It was all good stuff.
Yeah, it was really well taken care of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I there, you know, there's this can go a million different ways, but at the end of the day, it's just I love the flea market. So when I take the boys, it's a fun experience. We like to stop and anyway. I'm talking about a particular flea market. They're all different, but
yeah.
And if I see. What do we to go back on that? We like to stop at a particular place that sells lemonade and French fries, and we do that. On our walk back to the car, it's all refreshing, and it's just like our thing. It's just fun. It's not necessarily the exact thing I did with my dad because my dad was a vendor, and so I grew up in the behind the scenes and waiting in lines and getting up, you know, or not even going to sleep from the night before, just ready to rock and roll. I remember driving like an hour to a place. And my dad forgot his wallet. And not for any other reason outside of we needed the money. We needed the money to pay. You have to pay to be a vendor. It was like $50-$60 at that time. I don't know what they cost now. But this particular flea market, it was for a single spot, it was $60. And we did, my dad did like awesome numbers. So, I mean, that sounds like pretty expensive even when I say it now. I guess it's not. I don't know. But anyway, so I'm not a vendor now. So my experience with my sons is totally different. But it's in its own unique way because we also just went to flea markets with my dad. And actually I was looking for something, right, Goose? I mean, I kept honing in on like little Jeep toys for the boys.
Oh, yeah,
I got a bunch of those. And the craft, anytime I see someone hustling, like in a good way, I always try to buy something from someone like that. It has a craft thing or they just look like they were there for the first time. So we bought, signs from this handcrafted, beautiful, like wooden, you could put it in any room and it's going to look dope. And then he starts talking to us because same thing. Sometimes they're there alone. Like that guy was by himself. When I went, me and my dad were talking to each other because we had each other. But some of these vendors go by themselves. And they're dying to talk to somebody. Clearly, that guy was. Both of these two gentlemen were. And it was fun to have that. You felt like that in itself was a gift, and they felt appreciated. Like in their minds, that was a memorable experience. I didn't waste my time coming here.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Does anyone have anything else they would like to say about flea markets or yard sales? Oh, we could just. My thing. Go ahead.
I was just speaking on yard sales because we're on the whole flea market thing. And yard sales, yard sales are things that you're like. I got caught up on sometimes where like I'm driving by, and you see the yard sale, and you pull over because you're kind of curious to see what the heck they got sitting there.
Yeah.
You thought you saw something, and then
curiosity is more than it's a structured.
Well, they're cool because you're driving, you see like the big signs, like fluorescent sign. Like yard sale with an arrow that way, where they have their address on there, like they're promoting they're trying to promote their thing. But yeah,
that's the benefit of them is they're not. A lot of times it's a space thing, right? They just sold their house, they're moving, they don't want to take all that stuff with them. And there is some really good finds.
Yo,
absolutely.
At a yard sale, someone had a yard sale. They had stuff. I don't know where it was. Whatever. They had stuff on their front lawn or their driveway. And guy that told me a story, he's like walking up. He sees the guy. They have like a boat on the side of the house. Like, yo, you saw him that? And the guy's like, nah, that's my baby. Blah blah. Started talking. They started talking about boats. Dude, he ended up buying the boat because it was like a boat that he wanted. And it was like, dude, the guy was like, I want a new one, but I'm not ready for it. My wife would kill me. Blah blah. And so, dude, he ended up buying a boat. The guy. Wow. Having a yard sale probably didn't have those intentions
at all.
The guy's walking up and he's
like,
dude,
great.
He rolled out with a little boat.
That's great. What the heck?
Yeah, no, yard sales are clutch. The other two people, it's not organized in a way where it's like, like a flea market is there on particular days. So unless you do see those, highlighted lights or signs, I should say, this Saturday or next weekend, we're having a yard sale from 8
there are
to...
people. Yeah, no, there are people that hunt for yard sales. Like I know Ava's aunt, dude. She actually on a Saturday she hunts for yard sales. Goes around and people now with social media they post them. But dude, that's what she does. She goes yard sale hopping.
Yeah, now they have their own page. They have their own sites.
Oh yeah, on the
whatever
social media
county
pages.
or town you're in, you can post it there. It's a lot easier to find them. But sometimes it's random because you're I'm going to a grocery store for something, and on my way home, there's one like you just pull over, and it's random. Sometimes you end up buying some. It's just funny. Like I don't know. It's you don't know, or you're thinking of other people too. It's not always just about yourself. I'm thinking my nephew needs a new bike or needs a new tire for his bike, and I'm thinking about that, and I'm now looking around looking for that. If they have it, cool. If not, then just kind of keep it moving. And that was not a real example. I'm just saying, you don't necessarily, not all the time are you going just for yourself. Like Goose definitely went a couple times to Columbus looking for a Wu-Tang Burn CD for heck. So there was.
I got it. I still have it.
Just kidding.
Dude, Jim, you remember the one time too? We were going. I don't know where me and you were going. I think we're probably going to Home Depot or something. Driving down, and there's like a girl. She was making those wooden flags. It's like the American flag, but she made it out of wood, and it was like, dude, we passed it right, and on the way back is when you stopped. We're like, yeah, we gotta check this out. Like this, like you said, you're trying to support someone that's hustling. Like she actually, and then we didn't know, but who did it? She's standing there. She's like, I make these. Like she made it with her own hands. Like she stained them. She did this and that. And Jim actually ends up buying one, but that was just like a random thing too, because it was at the back of their yard, which their backyard met up to one of the streets, like a busy street. We were going to Home Depot or something.
Yep. Yeah, no, that was fun. That was a fun find too. Again, it's just non-traditional, unorthodox in so many different ways. Funky, cool as hell. Again, the collectibles thing, that's a whole other discussion. That's like a whole, there's people who just go there for Funko Pops. Like, literally. Yeah. There's people who go there just for video game accessories. Like, you can't get them online because Amazon and Target are sold out. You can go to a flea market and find a controller. Like, you just know it's there.
Yeah.
I don't know who, but someone's selling it. Jerseys, right? There's somebody selling Mitchell and Ness jerseys or your whatever your hometown team, professional teams are, whether it's hockey, baseball, football, basketball, whatever. It's just that, I don't know. I think it's a collaboration of it all that makes it that much fun. And good, like Goose mentioned, sometimes you just go in there just for people watch. It's entertaining on multiple levels.
It is very entertaining.
Yeah. I guess we could close out with the recommendation. So I guess what would you do? What do each of you tell someone who's going to either do their own yard sale for the first time or be a vendor at a flea market for the first time? What's a tip you would give them? Heck, we'll start with you.
Okay. If you're going to go sell for the first time, be well aware of what you have so that you know what you're pricing and what's going on. Always have change. Because people come up with you and they think that you're a bank and that you're selling something for $1 and they give you a 20
a good
spot.
Point. Yeah.
They give you a 20 spot. You're like, dude, I just opened up. Come on, bro. Go back and give me some change. Yeah.
Although I did hear some guy say, do you take anything other than cash? And the vendor said PayPal.
Well,
so we're in a different era, so it's super
interesting. And also people do Venmo. Venmo's another easy thing to do.
Yeah, any electronic.
You just do it right over social media. Venmo it there and stuff. So just pay attention to what you have and be alert and look to have a good time because it'll be a good time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go there, you have a bunch of stuff that you're trying to sell. You want to, in a sense, kind of get rid of. The idea is not to come back home with it all. So
absolutely,
at the beginning of the day, something that you were selling for $10, you might want to decrease that price towards the end of the day and now it's $5 or just do anything kind of so you don't have to bring it back home.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything not to bring it home. You're right. That's a good one.
Yeah. So that way your truck is half empty or half full or whatever, or empty altogether. Like you just want the whole purpose is like, yeah, you're not gonna become wealthy over this in one night. You know, it's just you're going there to sell your stuff or the yard sale. You're just trying to get rid of stuff, your old stuff, and make a buck out of it. That's it, really.
The other thing I would like to it's also I guess what both of the guys are saying, just on another level, in a sense of awareness of the buyer and having compassion, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's times where you're going to get the little kid whose parents keep saying no, you can't have that, no, you can't have that. Well, and it's not up to you, right? That's the parent. But sometimes the stuff that they're grabbing was something that you're selling for a quarter, like a little Matchbox car. Sometimes you can be, not saying that you have to, but you can be compassionate in a sense to, yes, I'm here to make money, but
yeah,
I always go with the intention, and every time we were at a flea market, I gave something away. Every time. Yeah. It never fails. Whether it's to a little kid or whether it was someone who was like, you could tell they probably needed it. I'm not saying, that I was 100% right, but I felt that. Yeah. And so I'm not going to wheel and deal to a point where, we're in each other's faces. Like, no, I said $20. And I keep saying, 12 or something like that. At some point there is some give, but on the flip side, it's just watch for the scammers, right? For the people who are taking advantage of you. Like, I remember trying to sell commemorative coins, silver bullion or 100% silver, and I just remember this guy's like, well, I'll buy it for scrap metal, and just took out the numismatic whatever the hell value out of it, and if I'm not aware of that, I just let something go for a price that I could have got double the amount, right? Mm-hmm. And the last big thing is, if you're there to profit, be sure that that's what you're doing, and don't be greedy. As we always say, it's only worth some of these items that you have and you think are, whatever, and they could be. But the point is, it's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so if you're holding so tightly to a price, maybe you're right and do that. I'm just saying, I don't think every product is that way.
Or maybe you're not ready to get rid of it. You brought it out there thinking, it's worth $50 and nobody's willing to buy it, and somebody's offering 40, and you're like, no, you're not ready to get rid of it. If that's the case, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes
and don't sell stuff unknowingly don't sell other people's stuff unknowingly. I'll never forget one time, there's so many boxes in the garage that they had just moved to a home, and the garage is filled with boxes, and somehow our boxes that were our own possessions that we just didn't unbox yet versus the section of the flea market stuff went with the flea market stuff, and my dad sold like these little statues and figurines that my mom wanted, and she said, "Where are my figurines?" He's like, "I sold them at the flea market."
It was. I think they're like plates. They're like Christmas plates with like the gold like rim and stuff.
Yeah, I remember that. She was so upset.
And I truly believe it wasn't intentional, and the box was around the other stuff. But it was just awareness, I guess. I don't know. It's too funny. Any closing words? This was fun. All right, so we'll wrap it up with a quote by Christopher Marlowe. Money can't buy love, but it improves your bargaining position. And then the second one by Howard Baker. The most difficult thing in any negotiation, almost, is making sure that you strip it of the emotion and deal with just the facts. Wow, that was one of the hardest things I had to ever learn. Still learning. Let's make a deal. In this episode, the crew covers topics that range from flea markets, garage sales, bargaining, vendors, and much more. We wrap the episode up with quotes from Howard Baker and Christopher Marlowe.
Awesome.
Guys, thanks again for joining us. The Rotated Views podcast was produced for self-development purposes. Huge shout out to our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by the Blessed Lifestyle brand. That is BL3SSED.com. Also sponsored by The Motivation Files Unleashed. This motivational mixtape will be your fuel for success. Available on all platforms. Guys, don't forget to visit the website, JimmyLeeVelez.com. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Rotated Views. If you have any inquiries or questions, email us at info@JimmyLeeVelez.com. On behalf of myself and the rest of the crew, we wish you massive success. Stay blessed.